You ready, Pika? We're gonna go to this island. It's gonna be filled with kush weed, cold suds, beautiful babes, and what? A homicidal killer? Oh, bummer. Hey, welcome back. It's time for the 31 Days of Halloween. We are doing a different horror movie every day this month of October in the spirit of Halloween and leading up to Halloween night. And thank you so much for coming aboard. It is the 24th day of Halloween, and I was inspired to do this movie from the hashtag. The 31 Days of Halloween has a 31 Days Challenge hashtag. So there's a list of 31 different things like Italian horror, slasher film, haunted house, mostly ghostly, and horror comedy. And my first thought was this. My second thought was Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein, which is runner-up. I did this one because we have not done a slasher movie. No, I haven't done a slasher movie this year. I've done vampire movies. I've done revenge horror. We've done psychological thrillers. We've done some homage stuff, and but mostly it's been there are no slasher movies. There are no Halloween. There's no Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are no Friday the 13th. There are no Nightmare on Elm Streets. Next year we'll probably end up doing Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th. I've actually got complete series of both of those franchises, and I love them. Not so hot, though, on Halloween. I grew up watching Halloween, and I know Halloween Ends just came out. And I mean, no thanks. It's not mine. I haven't even watched... I don't think I've watched any new Halloween movies since Part 3, Season of the Witch. And that was like on Cinemax one month, showing over and over again. And I didn't think it was that good then. And but I hear that one actually is a real standout of the series. I'm not into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I mean, that's just... I think that just... I can't... Yeah. That whole meat hook thing with the petite girl... no, thank you. I'd rather not. Oh, yeah, let's spin some of that footage behind us. Yes, this is a 2004 comedy, but it's also a slasher movie. And it is written and directed by the gang at Broken Lizard. They brought us Super Troopers 1 and 2 and Beer Fest. They're a comedy troupe. They make pretty good movies. And I love their sense of humor. But this is like the waning days of TNA in movies, perhaps. This was an homage to 80s slasher movies, like where the bunch of teenagers go away to summer camp and they're stalked by a maniacal machete-wielding killer. But yeah, it's about young people who are sexually active and looking for alcohol, maybe drugs, maybe dancing all night. But this movie is chock full of young actors looking great. I mean, I noticed this too in the Hammer movies. Hammer movies until 1974 didn't show nudity, and so it was more of like tantalizing, scintillating, negligees, lighting. You can see curvature underneath a sheer negligee, but also, I was watching them and I'm like, oh, there are a lot of shirtless young dudes in this too. So I guess they were like they really were covering their ground then. So we have the same here, and we have all the ingredients of a great horror movie. Now, one thing that actually put me off on this movie, I hadn't seen it in a long time. I got the unrated edition, which was a little longer. I watched it with commentary tracks from two of its creators. It's one of its writer-directors and one of its actors, who ended up being the big bad. And it was interesting because it was a nice insight into the production of the movie, who and where they were, the people, the actors, and the extras, and the people and the crew. I find all of these charming stories, especially the struggles of production, how you made this scene. I love movies. I love movie magic. And this had a lot of just practical effects, splatter, had a lot of blood, had a big body count too. I mean, it's the only 3 of our heroes escape. And we start off with a group of about, I think, 8 or 9. And also there's a really great role in here with Bill Paxton. Bill Paxton was a really standout actor of the 80s and 90s. He was he had a very small part in Terminator 1, where Arnold Schwarzenegger asks him for his clothes, and he's the punk that pulls out the switchblade and says, "F you, a-hole." That's Bill Paxton. And then later again, he was in Weird Science as older brother Chet. He was in Aliens. He was in Tombstone, True Lies, Apollo 13, Twister, Titanic, A Simple Plan, Edge of Tomorrow, and Nightcrawler. He passed away in 2017. A little, and he's missed by everyone. He was a really awesome actor. Yeah, and he plays a Jimmy Buffett pastiche, where he has this island, he has this music, a following of young people, kind of like Deadheads, but more like the parrot heads of Jimmy Buffett, who will go to Key West and party. It's Margaritaville. No, it's Pina Colada Town or something. There, that's his song. And so there's some really good, juicy Jimmy Buffett references. And yeah, this movie is but it's full of beautiful young women showing their breasts, especially the amazing Jordan Ladd, daughter of Cheryl Ladd, one of the Charlie's Angels. I mean, she's wow. I mean, these beautiful young people. Yeah, I mean, are scantily clad. They're in bikinis all throughout this movie, and it's like the girl that survives. You have the whole Madonna and the horror thing going on too. Those are one of the ingredients of a horror movie, and it's the slasher movie. So it's like so these young people put themselves in situations of promiscuity, of sex, and of libation, and their consequences being hunted down by the killer, whether it's Jason or Leatherface or even Freddy in their nightmares. So there's a machete killer on the island, and they're killing off the camp counselors one by one, all leading up to Act 3 when all mayhem breaks loose. But yeah, like I said, the running time, oh gosh, it was almost 2 hours long. And these movies work better when they're shorter, when they're in about 90 minutes. If you had 30 less minutes on this movie, it could have been a lot stronger. It comes down to about taking stuff out, and like what stuff to take out. And, I did sign up for the all-new unrated cut, which has to be longer because you're putting in 2 minutes here, 2 minutes there. It all adds up at the end. So overall, I really enjoyed it. It was great looking at all these, beautiful young ladies and scantily clad. It was funny because it is a comedy. It's meant to be a parody. Yet, underneath that is a solid 80s style slasher movie. It really is. I feel like it stands in its own as a horror movie. And that's why it is most definitely part of my 31 Days of Halloween. This is day 24. And so today I'm doing a horror comedy. And the only slasher movie we got this year. And which I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, really? It's our only slasher movie. Oh, wow. And it's a comedy as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. God bless. Namaste. Good luck. We would love to earn your subscription. We make daily content here. We talk about comic books every day. We're talking about horror movies every day this month of October to celebrate Halloween. There's a bunch of cats on Twitter who are doing the same thing, so it's great to see what they're watching. They're also making suggestions for next year for me, and you can too. Leave a comment in the comment section. This is a conversation we're having about movies and about horror movies. Leave me your suggestions. Leave me. Did you see Club Dredd? What did you think? You think it's a good horror movie? I think it's a pretty decent horror movie, and it's a pretty funny old-style teenage sex romp comedy as well. They don't make them like this anymore. They really don't. But thank you so much for tuning in, and tune in tomorrow. And what are we doing tomorrow? We are is it a full moon? Are we howling mad? It's another comedy. I'm going to how is this movie a comedy? Because it has the pedigree of a comedy. It is darkly funny. There is a sick sense of humor to it. There are one-liners and jokes and good rapport, especially between our cast members on screen. We're doing 1980s, An American Werewolf in London. I grew up with this movie. My best friend Brian Massey had a Laserdisc player, and he had this on Laserdisc, and we watched this a ton of times. And I am no stranger to this movie, and it was so interesting watching this movie again to prep for the show. And I watched that with the commentary between David Naughton and Griffin Dunn, the two men, the two male leads. One becomes a werewolf. The other one's the ghost of the undead ghost of his best friend, who says, you know what, I can only be at rest when the bloodline of the werewolf is done. So there's some really, it's grotesque. It's great special effects. And the music is really good, and it's written and directed by John Landis. This is the guy that did Animal House and the Blues Brothers, and he's done. This guy does comedy. This movie is a comedy as well, and I'm looking forward to sharing that with you tomorrow night. It's An American Werewolf in London. Great special effects, great cast, very well done horror movie. All right, thank you so very much, and we will see you again later tomorrow. Cheers.